Hey folks, and welcome back to another episode of Straight Talk Whiskey. I'm Nick, here with you as always, and thanks for joining us for episode number 73. Now today we have something a little bit unique in the sense that it's 15-20 minutes away from where I am, and that is the Dad's Hat Distillery in Bristol, PA. And I just have to start this off by saying if you are in the area or traveling through or coming up from DC to New York or the other way around, you should definitely stop at Dad's Hat Distillery. It's an excellent experience. I had the great opportunity a few weeks ago during a snowstorm here, which I say snowstorm, which may not be true for somewhere like Maine or New York or something like that, but for Philadelphia, the area that I'm in, it was pretty big in the sense that they don't really know how to deal with that too well. So it took a little bit to get there, few extra minutes, but it was well worth the trip. I had an excellent time with Master Distiller Herman Mahalik and a couple of the other guys that were there that led some of the tastings afterwards through a really vast array of expressions that they have there. And you get to see the whole process being done right there in one building. It's not like something is done off-site or it's done in another location. It's all right there. And you know, when we talk about craft, the craft of whiskey making, Dad's Hat truly is one of those places. So what we have today, I didn't even mention what we're drinking, is the Dad's Hat Pennsylvania Rye with a twist. I was fortunate enough when I went there to find out the maple finish. And so if you notice, it's kind of cool. It's just the Dad's Hat bottle with its homemade label down there, and we've got the maple leaf up there. Bottled at 90 proof, which we like. Higher proof is always nice. But I'll tell you a little backstory. So while I was there, after the tour, went and did some tasting and that sort of thing. And I saw on the wall that there was the maple finish, the wall being just a list of their expressions that you could purchase. And I was really intrigued about it. And so I asked, and they had a bottle for the shelf, you know, to offer to people, offer some samples, and it was getting pretty low, and I was like, oh man, that's probably getting close to their, you know, their last ones. But the guy doing the tasting said that they had one more bottle left. Now, luck favoring me that day, being a snowstorm, there was only two other people who were able to venture out for the tour. And they were sort of hemming and hawing about it because they tasted it and they really liked it. And so I was like, you know, trying to feel the situation out. And eventually they headed out. We shook hands, said goodbyes, and that sort of thing. And I was like, well, if you're not going to sell that last bottle, I'll take it off your hands. So got the last bottle of this, and I'm really glad I did because it's absolutely fantastic. I've had it at the distillery, obviously, but I haven't had it from this bottle yet. So basically what happened is there was a partnership between Dad's Hat and a local, relatively local maple syrup company in Somerset, PA. So they would send the barrels off to be sent to the maple syrup company, and then they would send them back to the company that was supplying it. Well, they got the idea that they would, you know, they wanted to take one of those barrels back that had maple syrup coated on the inside. When they did that, they put some of their rye in there for 6 months, and this is what they got, and it's really fantastic. Now, let's get into talking about the color. We've got a really nice dark amber there with really nice rich autumn sort of colors going on in there. A rich amber. Let's go in for the nose. First thing that I'm getting off the bat is the same experience really that I had when I first took a nose of Dad's Hat at I believe it was the American Whiskey Convention that was first held last year. It was just a really robust rye fruitiness that was really just piqued my interest. It had a lot of spiciness coating the outside, but just a really in-depth, fruity, spicy, peppery note. And so I'm definitely picking up a little bit on the maple syrup character. And I should also preface that with you can go to the distillery and other places in the area. You can go to the syrup company, and they have maple syrup that has been aged with the whiskey barrels, made with the rye whiskey, which obviously burns off during that whole process. So if you're making pancakes for the kids, you don't have to worry about giving alcohol to any of the little kids. So not to worry. But the maple syrup is so good. I'd throw any bottle of Aunt Jemima in the fridge right out the window as much as I like it, because that is so good. I'm really tempted to go back and pick up a bottle of that. They still have it, as well as their other expressions of Dad's Hat, because the whiskey they make is just that good. There's no way around it. You have to taste it to believe it, really. Even if you're not a rye person, you should definitely try it out. It may change your mind. You might be surprised. So also giving it a little further nose, you get some of the vanilla characteristics in there. A little bit of sugary cinnamon on there. But some really nice, sweet notes coming out of it. Let's go in for a taste. This is one of the few bottles of whiskey that I have from the US. There's some others from different countries, Scotland and Ireland. But you almost feel guilty taking a sip out of it just because it's that good. And I really sort of get a little bit sad when you start to see, the bottle going down past the, past the neck, tapering off there, and start to whittle down, because it's that good. If another one like this comes around next year, I'm definitely snatching it up. But the taste is just so bold, it's so deep, which is just, it's crazy. They also age this, I should say, in quarter casks, so that 6 months of finishing is adding a lot more depth and flavor than you think of. It's not in a big 53-gallon barrel that we're talking about. So, we got more wood to whiskey contact going on. So initially, you're getting a really sweet, syrupy texture, which is interesting. With this maple finish, it's adding a lot of really deep, robust, spicy flavors to it. And I'm getting a lot of the sense of pine needles, almost. It's got a really herbal sense to it, which is really tasty, by the way. It's not pine needles, and not like you're eating pine needles, but it's got a really spry sense to it. But undercoating that is this really nice layer of really, really good vanilla. I remember as a kid taking a vacation to Cozumel, Mexico, and the big thing there, all the tourists have to go and get vanilla. You have to get real vanilla from there, and you could not leave home without it. And you had to go off with one of the locals, and they sort of had to bring you over to this little stand because they had the really good stuff. You felt like you were doing something wrong, but you're talking about vanilla here. But that's what it feels like. That's what it tastes like, rather. And here's really good, rich, deep vanilla that's undercoated with honey and caramel, and all of these flavors linger around for a really long time. I tell you, with the winter that we've had, with starting to get a lot colder temperatures, the occasional snowstorm, it was snowing here earlier today, this is a perfect, absolutely perfect whiskey to just shut everything down, shut the phone off, shut the computer off, put on some music, or even just sit in silence, really. Just put on, throw a candle up there, or something like that, or if you've got a fireplace, even better. I'm not going to try that in my apartment here, but that might go badly. But really just nice sitting by the fireside. This would be a great ride to just sip and just get back to basics. Just beautifully sweet and well-rounded. I'm getting some dried fruits in there, which is nice. A little bit of cranberry in there, but not overtly so. Not in the sense of like really juicy cranberries. When I'm talking about dried cranberries, think of like a trail mix or something like that. Also, I'm getting a little, like a lot of meaty, just brown sugar. I'm thinking of like if you've ever had monkey bread, that stuff is amazing. You just get yourself some of that Pillsbury stuff, the grains of the dough, and you roll up, you mix up some butter and brown sugar, whatever else you want, a little bit of nutmeg, and just roll that up, coat it, mix it up, pop it in the oven, and you get these really nice, not malty, but the bread notes just it peels apart, sticky, cinnamon, that sort of thing. That's the same type of experience that I'm getting from this, in the sense of this really in-depth brown sugar, just really rudimentary, earthy note. It's basically all the things that I love about breakfast foods, minus the bacon, fall, and winter, basically, and a campfire even, because there's a lot of those, like the cinnamon, s'more kind of notes with the marshmallowy vanilla texture playing in there. But all in all, just a fabulous, fabulous whiskey. I feel a little guilty in the sense that I didn't get more whiskey when I was at the distillery, and I really should have, because it's just that good. And for the money, I think this was $50 a pop. Folks, look around your shelves, local stores. You get a lot of, high marketed, a lot of dollars thrown at it, just BS a lot of the times. You'll get, oh, we got this finish and this finish. But when they do their finishes, they do it right. And you'll notice that if you've tasted it. So next I want to try, they've got a vermouth finish that I really want to try. And they've got a whole bunch of different expressions. They have a 4-year bottled in bond. And I need to just do it because they're really that good. I'm going to have them for a while. I'm going to savor it. It's not going to be something I drink every day, even though it may turn out to be that way. But let's hope not, for my wallet's sake. But yeah, and one thing I will mention is, folks, I started Straight Talk Whiskey in the hopes that I could just be blunt and could be honest with you. People create channels on YouTube, and it's like you really have to just find your hook. Like, why do people care? Why are people going to watch your videos? Well, for me, it was I just wanted to give my opinion straight up. And if that wasn't for you, then that's totally cool. I totally respect everybody's different opinions and that sort of thing. But I'm also, just the spokesman for just laying it out how it is and being okay with that. Like, if we vastly disagree, if you taste this and you absolutely hate it, that's cool. But respect the fact that other people really like it. I don't think there's anybody in the world who would hate this. But I'm just going to say, there's some reviewers out there, okay, and there's not a lot of reviewers reviewing whiskey. And there's 2 that come to my mind, and one is really good. One is almost like your grandfather. Like, every time you turn it on, you're just sitting there hanging out. You felt like you've known each other for just decades upon decades. And then there's another whiskey reviewer who I'm not going to say, but you can probably guess, who's the most pretentious, I've got to say it, sorry for the expletive, but just an asshole. Okay? So I went around because I like to see what other people are saying about certain whiskeys that I review, and not always just, I mean, not the maple finish. I haven't looked around to see if somebody has done a review on that, but just in terms of the distillery that I'm covering for that week. And I go around and I just try to see people's opinions, what was their take on it. Sometimes people do scores. It's interesting to see what they score, even though that's totally subjective to the person and their own taste and that sort of thing. But see if they have any more insight about maybe the history, maybe like me, they've been to the distillery. So a lot of times that's cool for me to see places in Scotland that I haven't been to before. It's really cool to just get what the experience is like when you go there and that sort of thing. I find that really cool, and that's probably why you look around for reviews. But you have some people like this reviewer that I'm talking about who just exist because they like to bash everything that's not snobbish, just BS, and what they like the best. Let's say Scotch. There's a lot of people like single malt Scotch is the very best thing in the world, and anybody who drinks anything else is lesser than me, and they're terrible people. And so you have this stigma of whiskey aficionados, and this reviewer is one of them, that they're just pretentious, they're snobbish, you can't approach them, you can't say anything different, they know everything about the whiskey that they're talking about, and they know everything about the whole industry. I don't claim to know everything about it, I'm just, like I said before, just giving you my opinion on all of this. But he went in, right, just making a long circle around this mountain back to the actual point, I'm sorry for that, but he was talking about the Dad's Hat distillery and the whiskey, and was just, I think he had the vermouth finish, which I've tasted, I haven't reviewed it yet, obviously, and was just bashing it. Every single aspect. Would just look at this and say, genuine small batch, and make a comment about that. Or it would be talk about using only natural local ingredients and the most careful methods. To a lot of whiskey labels and a lot of companies, that's complete bullshit. But go to a distillery like Dad's Hat. Actually do your research. This is the problem these days. People want to get ideas and opinions and come off as being informed about everything when they've only heard one side. And they don't want to hear the other side because that would mean they have to think. They would have to use their frickin' head and say, no, what I heard first was not right because I just heard this, and I have a brain and I have a mind where I can make things, true for myself. What I believe is true, what reflects my ideals, beliefs, values, that sort of thing. So to go in and just knock everything, using only natural local ingredients, that's got to be complete bullshit. Let me make a video on YouTube to where I have, thousands of subscribers and, really could affect this distillery who is doing everything right. Yeah, they are using local grains. Yeah, they are using local processes. Go to their damn distillery. You'll see everything happening right there. And I think if a lot more people knew that, they would say, that's interesting. Because a lot of people really value local products. And people go to farmers market, and people will drive the extra 20, 30 minutes to go buy products that are made by hand, or made locally, or made by a certain group. Let's say like veterans. I support a lot of products made by veterans. It's just something that's close to me. So I have to say this all because we're just a part of a larger community, and really it's a lesson about our community as a world people. And with social media and just 24-hour access to media constantly, and just this huge expanse of ideas and knowledge, we really need to find a way that you've got to be open to ideas, open to thoughts and opinions, but at the end of the day, you're not going to get a breeze through your house if you only open one window, right? You better open up the door, you better open up another window. let the whole breeze fly through there for anything productive to happen. All that to say, you gotta have your mind open to both ends. You gotta have both ears open, process both, and then make up your mind for yourself. Ask yourself if that's something you're invested in. Ask it if it's something that you want to knock just because you want to knock it. I say to a lot of people these days just don't seem to be happy until they're unhappy about something. So, I didn't mean to make this whole video negative. That's why I went with the absolutely amazing whiskey first. Oh, and sitting out for a little while, it's still good. And so, it's just, I hate to see people with big reputations, with big followings, and some people who maybe they're naive and maybe they've watched 50 reviews from this guy and he was fine about it because maybe it was all about things that he liked. Maybe they're all single malt scotches or whatever. They like him, they trust him, so when they see a video, they may say, they may go to the store and see Dad's Hat Rye and just say, no, he made a lot of critiques about that. He said that was terrible, gave it a terrible rating, and just talked down to it. He also talked down about the whole country of America, which is just stupid, and it's just childish. Whatever you think, that's like, it's just very childish. Anyway, so, just make up your mind for yourself, and everything will be fine. Again, that's why this channel is what it is. And I hope I get more subscribers. I hope there's more people who are looking for that kind of thing. And I'll be there to help at any point. I know I'm not going to change, so let's go in for a score though, because a lot of people like that. And so we are going to give it a 96 out of 100. Now remember, when I do scores, I usually try to break things down into as small as category as possible. It's the age-old question of, what's your favorite whiskey? And it's like, everyone you ask, kind of like hems and haws, and you're like, I don't know, there's so many, or what type do you mean? Like a Scotch, Irish whiskey, bourbon, rye, that sort of thing. So I'm putting it in a category of things similar that I've had before. I don't put it in a category of things that I know are out there and that I'd really like to try that probably might be better, because I don't know that until I've tried it. So I'm just putting this in the category of ryes with finishes on it, which there's not a ton out there. So that's why it's 96. Giving it a little room, maybe some other of their expressions will, kick it up a notch from there. So, thanks for listening. Thanks for joining me. Not sure what we're going to have on next week's episode, but you'll be there to see it when I do. So, till then, if you're going to drink responsibly, as always, and we'll see you next time.